Okay, we're here with City Council candidate Ashley Olsen. Ashley, thanks so much for joining us today. Do you want to let us know a little bit about yourself and why you're running for council?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity to speak with you guys on this beautiful Saturday. My name is Ashley Olsen. I'm a conservation biologist, environmental advocate, longtime Santa Monica resident. I've lived here for more than 15 years with family in Santa Monica for over 60. I serve on the Environmental Justice, Sustainability, and Environment Commission and chaired the Clean Oceans and Beaches Measure V Oversight Committee. I currently serve on the board of the Santa Monica Bay Audubon Society and the Helping Hub. I'm a mother and a renter. I'm the first to go to college in my family and was raised by a single mother who was a flight attendant and worked very hard to make sure that she could, keep us afloat. And education is one of the most important things to me and shaped the person I am today. After the Palisades fire, I was the first person to collect samples of the sand and the sediment to better understand the risk to our community, and what environmental toxins we are dealing with. I led the community effort in stopping the toxic sorting site at Will Rogers parking lot. I went to University of Southern California for undergrad and grad, as well as University of Pennsylvania for my master's. I studied environmental policy and environmental science and was a directorate fellow with U.S. Fish and Wildlife for 3 years, which is a presidential pathway fellowship program. I've lobbied on Capitol Hill for policy for International Fund for Animal Welfare. Um, I've been a registered Democrat since was first eligible to vote, and throughout my life, I've supported Democratic candidates and causes because I believe in protecting civil rights, reproductive freedom, workers' rights, and equality opportunity for all. I am running for city council because I love Santa Monica and I believe our city can do better. We need leadership that's transparent, collaborative, science-based, and focused on results. And we need to address affordability, strengthen the public trust, and support renters and working families, to ensure that everyone feels safe and welcome in our community. And my career has dedicated to solving complex problems through evidence and science and collaboration. And I'd be honored to bring this to experience to City Council. So I look forward to your questions and grateful for your time this afternoon.
Great, thanks, Ashley. So I wanted to start by asking about, in your questionnaire, you said, well-intentioned tenant protection policies can sometimes create unintended consequences that disproportionately impact small property owners. Could you point to a tenant protection, an example either in Santa Monica or California that you think has done more harm than good, and what change you'd make?
I don't think I can point to one that I would say that has done more harm than good, but I definitely think there's situations where small landlords have been put in situations that are difficult for them. I know many small landlords around town that um, have are immigrant families that have worked very hard that have been put in situations where they're at the point where they're not even renting out their apartments. I've heard this quite often, and it's been unfortunate to see that those homes and those apartments get left empty when we all know that we need more housing and more rent control units and protecting renters' rights. And so I think that it's not so much a battle or a specific policy that I think has done more harm than good. I think a lot of the housing policies have done far more good than bad. But I think there's exceptions, and I worry that sometimes that we're putting the small landlords out of business in a variety of capacities when it comes to some of their expenses, their taxes, and the cost of upkeep to make sure that those apartments are maintained in a way that are good and safe for residents to live in. And it is challenging when you hear that people are not renting out their empty units. I mean, I can think of five different small landlords that have decided not to rent out their spaces. And I think that's unfortunate because of the need in our city.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. Is anyone else next? Other than Patricia's cat has a question. Okay, let's go to Lynn.
Okay, my mute's off. Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
You said in your questionnaire that homelessness programs should have measurable outcomes and documented results. Can you give a few examples of the outcomes you would expect homelessness programs to achieve and how you would measure those results?
Well, obviously, there's challenges when it comes to certain populations of tracking throughout the entire system or throughout the way. But I definitely think that there are few measurable outcomes and data despite how much money that we're spending in these various programs. I think that I would like to see more of like if there was a way to track some of the people and whether they stayed involved in these programs and they left. And I have not myself gotten a hold of any quantifiable data to the progress that's been made and what all this money has resulted in spending and really helping our community because it's not just I'm not just saying that we shouldn't be giving this like dedicating this money to helping homeless people. I think that we also have to think about the people we're trying to help and whether they're actually getting the help that they need so that they can move on and become stable and safe and healthy and they're getting the resources that they need from our community, not just providing these services with the check in the box and not seeing it all the way through. What are the outcomes of them? Are we helping the people that are being putting in certain bridge housing facilities? Are there progress for retention, staying in the programs, finding a home and staying in that home and finding jobs. And so seeing a pathway to tracking if we're actually making progress in what we're doing, or if some of it, while well-intentioned, is not helping the population that we're trying to serve at the same time.
Um, just as a follow-up, could you give me some more specific examples of the outcomes you expect the programs to achieve? Like specifically, what do you want the programs to do? Like how many? Give some numbers.
Well, let's use like a bridge housing facility or when people enter programs, rehab programs or mental health facilities or getting mental health care. I think that it's a very complicated way to care. I don't think locking somebody up on a 5150 or doing something in that nature is helpful or beneficial, and that to be a resource, which I hear is often used from the police department as one of their tools in the toolbox. I would like to see programs that show retention, more hands-on care, which is quite complicated, right? You can't put one size doesn't fit all. Quite often, it's very different for each individual, and I see that, the manor, for instance, use the manor as an example where there isn't, there's a lot of people that are still struggling and not really getting the care they need, but are in a home or have a roof over their head, but they're not getting some of the treatment and the care that probably would benefit them. And I feel like that's creating more of a dependency on our system. So would I like to see people who there's outcomes with, Salvation Army has outcomes of seeing people through the system into job placement, job training, and making sure that they have the opportunities that we all want to have to live a healthy and happy, meaningful life in society. So I would like some outcomes that show that these people are not going back to the streets, that they're safe and on the pathway to recovery.
Thank you.
All right, Mike.
I'm looking for my.
Hi.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, no, I'm good.
yeah.
Um, Hi, Ashley. So, I want you to leave aside the downtown and the commercial boulevards,
Mhm.
and state mandated upzoning. What upzoning do you support in the single family neighborhoods and in the multifamily neighborhoods?
Well, first, before we upzone anything, I'd really like to see the infrastructure and evacuation studies on, things of that nature, because there are demands on the city when we are increasing density. Um, I can't say that I particularly have a neighborhood that I would target to upzone. I know places I categorically wouldn't upzone, but I think that also involves the neighborhood input and whether that's something that is wanted by that particular neighborhood or community. I don't think it's one person or the state's decision of where that would be. Um, but as with like single family neighborhoods, I wouldn't change and upzone the single family neighborhoods.
But you would the multifamily neighborhoods, or
No, I mean, at this current moment, I wouldn't really upzone anything until we were looking at infrastructure and evacuation and did some studies. Couldn't make that determination.
okay,
And
thank you.
and I definitely think there needs to be a lot of community input from those communities. Like for instance, obviously we all know that the Pico neighborhood has been historically kind of the way the sentiment that many of the residents in the Pico neighborhood have expressed to me is the dumping ground, and I don't think that's fair to whether they're multifamily or single family to just, you know, dump on.
So I do have to say, I don't normally do this, but the narrative that the Pico neighborhood is a dumping ground for our affordable housing projects is factually incorrect. The biggest concentration is probably in the Wilmot neighborhood. And secondly, the idea that affordable housing is a dumping um, is
They're not my
something
words,
that,
the
okay,
residents' words, yeah.
well, do you feel that way?
Do I feel like it's a dumping ground? I've only
That
lived in it.
building affordable housing in a neighborhood is dumping on that neighborhood.
No, absolutely not. I don't think
Okay.
so.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Sean.
Hi, to kind of speak on transportation mobility issues, and I guess for one thing, I'm a little puzzled by kind of the framework of looking at transportation through the experience of the Palisades fire as kind of like the most thing, because there are a lot of problems and failures in government as it relates to what happened in the Palisades,
Mhm.
but it's not clear to me that the evacuation was actually like the biggest challenge there. And as someone that doesn't have a car and does rely on some of the pedestrian, biking, and public transit infrastructure. Do you have any specific plans or visions for that? For instance, if you want to talk about evacuations, having maybe an additional subway line, the D line, go all the way to Santa Monica, that would be a great evacuation route. People can just hop on the train. Do you support the D line expansion into Santa Monica? And do you have specific plans for additional infrastructure, whether it's additional roads, whether it relates to kind of the discussion about the freeway or bike paths or other public transit options? What is your vision for transit in this city?
Look, I moved to Santa Monica because of its walkability, hands down. Like, it's why I moved here. It's what I love about the city. I prefer not to be in my car. I've just since having a child now, do have to rely on my car for the first time in a very long time. I personally do take the metro. I love to go to the Natural History Museum, and anytime I can take an opportunity where I'm actually leaving Santa Monica and take the train, I do it. There's no doubt about it. I love people biking. I wish I felt more safe on a bike. It's not about the streets or the safety of the streets. It's more about like my skill level on a bike. But if I need to buy a light bulb and it's 20 blocks away, I'll walk. I won't jump in my car. Now, having a child that's 2 years old has shed light in a new way, of course, on the need for a car. Because I'll tell you, a screaming, crying toddler and trying to manage all that sometimes is really challenging. I think that I would love, love, love to see where everyone felt super safe and comfortable and used the metro and had a way to really like we had the infrastructure and the ability where we're connected in ways that was much more like San Francisco. I lived in San Francisco for a period of time. I had a car there. I got rid of it immediately. I was like, this is not what I want. Like, I have lived in a city like that and I've enjoyed that. It's incredible. I don't think our city is there yet when it comes to all of the interlocking ways to easily move. If I'm out in Riverside to get over to Santa Monica, it's not that easy if I have 3 kids to take a metro and stuff like that. I would love to see that people felt safe on the metro and us get that under control as much as possible. I know some changes are coming and on the horizon for how we're working with the metro police and our police and how that's going to be handled before we looked into um, full-blown expansion of it. I'd love to see us really get one that like are trained to be functioning in a way where people are using it all the time. It becomes habit. So that would be ideal in the world. I don't think that's where we're at currently, but that's going to take obviously more projects and more building and time to create that infrastructure to connect us all to be like that.
Okay, Isabel.
Yeah. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Isabel.
Um, it seems like a theme running through your campaign is about transparency, accountability, giving the public more chance for input on city decisions. What ideas do you have about how to improve that?
I think some of them are pretty simple. I mean, I think that turning the public comment from 1 minute, when there's 25 people back to 2 minutes would go a long way to just start off something simple. Off the bat, I understand that, man, those city council meetings run really long, and I've been up watching them or I've been in the chamber till 2 or 3 in the morning, and that's really, really hard. And I think that's not the best environment or time for this council meetings to go that late. So I understand the mentality and the reasoning behind some of those decisions of changing public input. But I'm so sorry. Is that me? Um, but that would be the start. And then I think sharing with the public more accurate and honest information about some of the decisions that are coming down the pipeline. I don't think it would be tremendously difficult to do that. I think just consistency and what we say as elected leaders, from what we're doing on our emails to what we're saying to the residents would be an improvement.
Okay, Kay.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
Um, I was looking at your questionnaire about the section on party and activism. Some of the candidates that you've supported, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and then locally that in 2024 you worked on the campaigns of John Putnam and Dr. Vivian Rockmian. I was wondering if when you were working on those campaigns, as somebody who's a Democrat, if you were aware that John Putnam was registered as a Republican until very shortly before he decided to run for city council and had made many donations to the Republican Party. Does that align with your views? They're not on city council. And if you were elected to city council, would you be able to work with the candidates who did end up winning?
Oh, so your first part of the question. Um, I don't know how recently he was registered a Democrat, if it was like a change right before or not. I don't have that clarity. I did know about his financial contributions to, I think it was Mitch, who was it? The guy,
Mitt Romney,
thank you.
and
Thank you. Mitt
then
Romney. It's
and
totally
then
slipped my mind.
also to the Republican Party during the first Trump administration.
Okay, so that one I didn't know about, but I did know about Mitt Romney. I know, look, we have council members that used to be Republican that are now Democrat and are avid Democrats and committed to that. So did I think that that was problematic for the future if he was elected? I got to know him very well. He's an incredibly good man that I believe has very solid and secure democratic principles. I think I am proud to have supported him because of the kind of character that he has as a person. I never saw, um, I was maybe naive a few years ago when I thought that our election really wasn't partisan and that that wasn't really the weight and the factor that it actually is, despite whether we put an R or D next to names on our ballot. But um, knowing who he is we would have been lucky to have a person. He is somebody who is incredibly principled, and I've never saw any concerning Republican stances or positions on things with him. He's he has a special needs child and a lovely family. He's been so successful, and I've never seen anything but a kind, thoughtful, generous man out of him. So I never was concerned about that maybe being, I don't know, if a facade or a fake Democrat, or I didn't have those concerns, honestly, because of his character and who he was as a person. And your second question was getting along with candidates or council members, working with others. Look, I think we all know my opposition to AB 1740, right? But I was on the phone every day with Robbie from Zabur's office, and Zabur's like working with them, talking to them. He called me just yesterday and the day before, checking in, seeing how I feel about things. We obviously were on very different sides of that issue. Um, but we had a great relationship, and I think we can have difference of opinions. And I actually like to see a diversity of opinions. I think that we benefit from it, of having healthy debates about pros and cons on issues and possible outcomes, because many policies, no matter how well intentioned they are, sometimes the outcomes, how they play out in the real world, are not necessarily how what we intend them to be. And I think having a healthy discussion and debate over possible outcomes, and whether you're for something or not for something, I think that's a good thing. I think we benefit from that because we all have very different perspectives and all come from different backgrounds. And I learn something all the time. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong or learning something new and be like, oh, wow, that really changes the calculus on this issue. And I think that's a strength of being able to talk to people and discuss things despite your agreement or not agreement. And so I think if anybody actually works with me or talks to me and has a conversation with me, it's pretty quickly apparent that like I work well with others. I like to solve problems with people that have a difference of opinion.
Um, that's great to hear about Brixborough and Robbie, his staff. The council members who won the election, not John Putnam and Dr. Vivian Rockman, would be Ellis Raskin, Natalia Zernitskaya, Barry Snell, and Dan Hall. So if elected to city council, you'd be working with them and whoever else wins the election as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think because I supported another candidate that that would dictate being able to work with somebody that was elected. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about elections and democracy. I mean, I would never think that would. I haven't even considered that being a problem of because I supported candidates who didn't win. I honestly, of all the things, that is not one that I ever considered, to be honest.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ashley.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
you stopping by. I think that's all the time we have.
All right, great. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a great
Okay, thanks,
afternoon.
Tom.
Enjoy the rest of your interviews.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.